When you're not forgiving yourself or others, it's like trying to walk life backwards. Your mind is in the past. How are you there for the future or the present? You're missing all the stuff that's passing you by.
Hey, what's up? It's Rashad.
And I'm Keisha.
Hanging with the Joneses, man. Episode
82.
82.
Actually knew that.
You didn't know that. This is just take two of this. But yeah, I'm so glad to be back today. We're on a little bit of a hot streak, so you got to be very thankful for that. Yeah, but seriously, today we're talking about it feels like a common topic, but it always comes back around, and that is the issue of forgiveness. I have a question. Do you think forgiveness is overrated?
No. As long as we're humans, we're going to err. So there's always a need to forgive something or someone. So yeah, it's not overrated. Probably it's the exact opposite. We don't hear the word forgiveness enough, or we don't practice forgiveness enough.
What do you mean practice?
So a lot of times, when I look at forgiveness, I even go back to even things I heard about forgiveness. I'm like, that's not necessarily right. So if we practice the practice of forgiveness, we won't have those stories out there about forgiveness that's not correct. For instance, forgive and forget. That if you forgive someone, you should forget the action. I don't think that's wisdom to forget what someone did to you. For example, when you learn to cook and you touch the stove, you realize it was hot because you touched it. So I'm supposed to forget. I forgave myself for doing that, for touching the stove, but I'm supposed to forget that it's hot. So more likely I'm going to do what? Repeat the same action. I'm going to do it again. So I can forgive someone. Doesn't mean I have to forget what that person did to me or what happened. But I choose to forgive someone. And then I think another one is forgiving someone is a choice. It's a choice. You can decide if you want to forgive someone or not. But ultimately it's a choice. And I don't think sometimes we realize that's a choice that each one has to make if they're going to forgive something, if they're going to forgive someone. I would say another myth that I heard about forgiveness, even I'm hearing that person doesn't earn the right to be forgiven. And it's not really, and that's the thing about forgiveness. Forgiveness is selfish, meaning forgiveness is really not about that person getting relief. Forgiveness is so you get relief, so you won't be carrying that person around with you. Especially you're carrying baggage, that person's in your head. Every time you see that person, you kind of maybe moving your neck and rolling your eyes, so it's kind of like, they're here again. That means you're carrying baggage with them. So forgiveness is to let go of the baggage. They may benefit from you letting go of the baggage, but they do. So what? Because you benefit greater. You don't have to carry that around. You don't have to be hunchback with carrying on unforgiveness around. And then a lot of times we can have not forgiving people who have gone and passed on, or who had no idea that they needed forgiving. We hold on to stuff and the person's like, what, that bothered you 99 years ago? So that's another thing I would say forgiveness. Sometimes expressing it. Even though we think it should be common sense, I want this dismantle common sense. Common sense ain't common. Common sense is really based off your upbringing, your culture, sometimes your religion on what's common sense.
True. Like
for us, we're saying American culture is common sense, just as general, for them when you talk to someone to look them in the eye.
Right.
You go to some other culture, that's rude. That's like almost fighting words.
Especially if you're a woman.
Yeah. And then I'm going to even take that back. That's if maybe we doing something business or having a conversation. I would say the difference, like in New York. I'm originally from New York. Someone looking you in your eye, and like you just walking someone and looking in your eye, that's almost like fighting words. Down here, it's like they're friendly, they're recognizing you. So even with that, it's not, some people like, it's common sense. Like, you saw the way he looked at me? He was ready, like he wanted to fight. And then out here, it's like, they just saying hi. So going back to common sense ain't always so common. Different things shapes our common sense, like our history, our culture, our race, and just our upbringing can shape our common sense. But then also talking about forgiveness, I hear a lot of people talking about forgiveness, and they always mention about forgiving other people. But how can you forgive other people if you don't learn how to forgive yourself? What are your thoughts?
I think forgiving yourself is can you silence that? Forgiving yourself is it's a tricky thing because it's so. I'm trying to put this in a way that I can explain this. I think forgiving yourself is harder than forgiving somebody else.
And what's the reason?
Because you're always inside your own head. Mm-hmm. And then sometimes we become self-fulfilling prophecies where if I do the thing again or if the thing reoccurs or something pops up that reminds me of that, now I'm living this situation all over again. And instead of me moving forward from that, I then damn myself to this same situation or whatever happened. And now I'm back beating myself up. So I just feel like it can be a real hard thing to be like, all right, I did a dumb thing. I forgive me. And like, and then you're on with your life. It's way harder. I know for me personally, it can be a lot more harder than that.
And then look how unfairly you're treating yourself because you'd rather extend someone that grace of forgiveness but hold yourself hostage to you.
Yeah.
And it's really unfair for you to do that to yourself. How this person is more important than you. And then if we can't forgive ourselves, how possibly can we forgive others? How we know what this looked like? So I was saying, and this is the first time I was thinking about this, and I'm like, and let me know, when every time the topic of forgiveness came about, no matter what venue or milieu it was in.
Milieu? Ooh,
shut up.
That's a big word.
Shut up. How was it always presented to you?
I don't. Okay, so forgiveness to me. Let's go back to like when I was a child. My earliest like memories of forgiveness is probably dealing with like siblings. Mm-hmm. Making sure that somebody did something wrong to me, like we forgave each other. There was a lot of hey, you were wrong. You need to ask for forgiveness, or my older brother did me wrong, or we got into a fight. We had to forgive each other. Mm-hmm. We had to hug it out most of the time, and we kept it moving. As I got older, we had to really talk about forgiveness for me in regards to more of a spiritualistic standpoint, and that was more of God forgiving you and God forgiving us, and also that God forgave us. Mm-hmm. But as I got more older, especially like after I got married and stuff like that, then I got introduced to the concept of just me having to forgive myself of things that have happened to me, things that I've done. And to be honest, I wish I would have learned that self-forgiveness piece a lot earlier, because it would have been a lot easier for me to conceptualize forgiveness as a whole. Like I didn't even realize that that I should even consider myself when it comes to the whole process of forgiveness. It was always a outside of myself situation. Mm-hmm. It was never an internal thing.
Same for me. Most of the time hearing other people talk about it, it's always you need to forgive X, Y, and Z because you want to be forgiven. But then looking at it, I'm like, what happened if I'm being held accountable as well for not forgiving myself? Yeah,
it's always like there's almost this quid pro quo situation where it's like, if you do it for me, then I gotta do it for you. But it's never this, okay, you gotta do this for yourself, so then I can do it for everybody else.
For everyone else.
Yeah.
Like that's like, trying to teach someone how to ride a bike and you don't know how to ride one. How successful is this really going to be? So even if you're going back to, if this is your first time of hearing this about forgiving yourself, then you need to go back and start naming the things that you run in your head. And I'm saying name it, but they're already in your head. They're already running through. Yeah. And even personally, some situation, I'm like, oh, I should did. I wish I did this. I could. The shoulda, coulda, woulda's in. So even okay, I need to work on before I forgive Tom Joe. I need to forgive me. I need to forgive from even sometimes blaming myself for a situation that I may not have anything to do with it. I need to forgive me, and what that means is allowing me to be human, allowing me to make mistakes.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, because like you said, we might give that to other people, and maybe because we have more practice, because we've been taught from the get-go that how we should forgive others. So, but how about we revert that and change it around, and let's start working on us first before, because I feel like once you got yourself straight, it's like this to forgive other people.
Yeah, it can be difficult at times depending on the severity of the thing.
That's a good one too.
But at least you have a leg up on actually knowing what it means to forgive. Mm-hmm. Because I feel like the first step of self-improvement is self-forgiveness.
Absolutely.
We can talk about improving ourselves, but we hold on to a lot of stuff. Especially, to be honest, you, the therapist here, a lot of stuff from childhood that we had nothing to do with. It was never our fault in the first place. Things that we had no control over because you were 7 years old. You were 5. You were 15. You had no real agency. You had to go along with the things because you didn't have any other options.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And in that sense, to me, you had no choice. Like even when you said you have a choice whether to forgive or not to forgive. For me personally, I feel like that is an option, because I feel like choices are things that you create. Options are things that are given to you, and you're always given the option to either forgive or to not forgive. And going back to my first original question is forgiveness overrated? Because I think it's overrated in the sense where we're always are so willing to quote unquote forgive on a very surface level. And what happens if you forgive on that surface level, for example, like you get mad at your sibling, you hit your sibling in the face. Y'all are 5 and 10. You 10. You shouldn't do that. That's your little sister, your little brother. You like, yo, I'm sorry. And your little brother or sister says, oh, hey, I forgive you. But deep down inside, they're just saying it, but they're still really mad. And instead of dealing with that anger, it just festers and it sits there. And then y'all grown-ups and y'all still mad at each other because you got punched in the face when you was 5 years old. That's what I'm saying. Like, that type of forgiveness to me is overrated, because nobody is really dealing with the true issue to get to the actual forgiveness. So
you saying it's surface level? Yes. That's surface level. Okay, because first I was like, okay, I got it. I agree. But then I also look too is people don't know that. That's what I'm saying. Even some stuff that we carry, the person that may have did it to us didn't know that 5, 10, 20, 30 years down the line we're still carrying, and neither did I. Or you. Or so some of the stuff that we didn't know. I use the example, and I used this before. Go to the beach, someone threw me, not a spouse, a family member threw me in the water. Family member threw me in the water. I swim, I don't know how to swim. I swim by my way up, straight survival. Now to this day, I'm fearful of water. Now, that action that relative did to me, it was out of fun. He didn't know that 20, 30 years later, I'm now scared of it scared of water because something he did when I was a child. Yeah. I didn't think at this age I would still be scared of something that was done when maybe I was 9 or 10. So I think that's the thing too, where as mental health is progressing, I think sometimes our thoughts are progressing and realize that childhood, I know a lot of people want to say like that happened to you as a kid, but in fact a lot of stuff who we are, a lot of our anxiety, a lot of our scary stuff, a lot of our fears came from when we was a child.
Definitely. And
Childhood trauma.
yeah, and I think we're at a weird place when it comes to that. We're still talking about fear. Because there's this weird sort of chasm to where mental health is now so recognized that people who don't really care about mental health want to kind of divest from it, trying to claim people are just not being honest about it. And okay, so it's almost like Ronald Reagan and like the welfare queen myth. You know what I'm talking about? So you have him talking about basically black people on welfare and how we need to make sure like everybody get up from their own bootstraps and yada yada yada. That whole thing. When in reality, it was always more Caucasians on welfare than black people because population wise, it's just more white people than black people in America.
It wasn't enough of us. So it's not enough.
No, it's never enough. So in the same sense, there's this small like swell of people trying to discredit mental health because there are a few people who are trying to abuse the system in it. So I just hope that people aren't fearful to actually go to therapy. Really sit down with somebody who's professional they can talk to and trust, who is an independent third party, who doesn't really care about you for real. They're just, to be honest, they're just doing their job. So they care about you as a person, but not you to the point where they're gonna sway you the wrong way. I need people to really understand that, like, in order for you to get to some of that forgiveness, you're gonna have to talk it out.
Yeah. And I'm gonna go back to because I posted this GIF or meme something with therapists. Sometimes I want to get the impression that once the session is done, we're done, and we take you with us throughout our week, our month, our years. We take you with us. So even sometimes going through your mind like, oh yeah, oh gosh, I just connected that. That's such and such, and we need to explore this. So I don't want you to think that it's just kind of clock in and clock out. No, we could take you with you. You're going with us, whether you know or not. I have even wrestled with sleep over a client, or when I kind of got the connection, it's like, oh, I can't wait to bring this up tomorrow so they can see the connection. So I want to kind of dismantle that it's just a 9 to 5. A lot of times the therapists, we take you with it, even calling other therapists like, hey, I got this such and such. What do you think? I did such and such. Do you think, would you have done that? Would you have done such? So just wanted to clear that up.
Yeah, because it's still a profession.
Yeah.
And a very needed one at that.
Yeah.
Again, fear. I'm not fear. The fear of not forgiving is greater than your fear of not being forgiven. Like people need to actually learn how to forgive themselves and really and honestly get to the point where they can sit down, and even when those thoughts come back around, they're not what's what I'm looking for here. When those thoughts come back around, that they are not sheltered in or stymied or
pushed back,
held in. They're not paralyzed. There we go. By those thoughts, because your imagination, it ain't always your best friend. Like you can sit down and be having a great day, and then a random thought will go across your mind, and then you are spiraling because something that you thought you could have did, like you said, the whole coulda, shoulda, wouldas, like that stuff will torment you.
And then you know why I say with the shoulda, coulda, wouldas. Even if you were to go back in time, you would do the exact same thing because you don't have the knowledge that your future self have.
Yeah.
A lot of times we only make decisions of the knowledge that we have then. I want to say a lot of times I know some of it's like you had that knowledge, you just made a bad decision, which is also normal. But some of it's like, even if I was to go back in time, I'm going to make the same mistake. We're going to make the same mistake because this is the only information we had. Looking, of course, hindsight, you can say, oh, maybe I should have did this. But that's only because your future self has more knowledge after making the mistake.
Yeah, unless you got like time travel.
All right, Back to the Future.
Oh, so, like a multiverse.
But see, so that even with that, I hear that a lot. If I can just change, and now a lot of times saying you would do the same thing over again, that there wouldn't be no change. You're going to do it again because that's on the information you had to make that decision. You saying that now because you obtained more information since then, or you saw the outcome. You didn't have that last week, last year, 5 years ago, whatever. You didn't have that back then.
Yeah.
You'll do it again.
What's the hardest part about forgiveness?
Hardest part about forgiveness is feeling like we or the other people should be forgiven, like you land them off. I think sometimes we have levels to forgiveness. Like if you step on my shoes, like you said, it's easier for me to forgive you as opposed to you stole my jacket or you stole something from me. I might not ever forgive you because that might have been personal. No, it's personal. My great son, the history.
Yeah.
I think sometimes the hard part of it all is realizing whether it's step on your shoes or something greater than that. All of it needs to be forgiven. Even if you did it, you need to forgive yourself. But then I believe after you forgive yourself, you change your behavior. I believe you change it. You can't say, okay, I forgive myself for stealing the TV, and then next week you steal the TV.
Yeah.
I believe you have to change your behavior once you forgive yourself. Now, that's going to be a difficult part because you might change your behavior better, but you forgiving somebody who may not ever known they did you wrong, willing to accept they did you wrong, or even change your behavior to improve it.
Yeah,
and you still have to forgive.
And I think that's a hard thing when you have to forgive somebody, and you know full well they ain't about to change for nothing.
But once again, if we're forgiven to get it off my shoulders, why do I matter if they receive it or not?
Why does it matter?
Why does it matter? Why should I care? That's like if I'm carrying something heavy, why should I care that you put down your bags but I'm still carrying mine? It has nothing. It really doesn't have anything to do with it. If this was causing me pain, I need to put it down and get it healed. And then maybe you'll benefit, maybe not. But the purpose of it too is so I can no longer carry this pain. I can let it go.
Yeah.
I can walk through it.
Yeah.
I can heal from it. We can put some stitches in this and call it a day.
Can I ask you? Okay, so it's another question.
Grab my head.
Because I'm just thinking okay, so what happens when that pain of unforgiveness becomes somebody's identity? And they have narrated or orchestrated this whole story around this pain, and it's really just a lot of like unsettled unforgiveness.
That could be difficult because sometimes people won't heal because this is who I am, this is what I know. So if I'm telling you this is me, and then you tell me no, I'm not, who am I? Which that can open up a whole nother box, but which is a good thing. It's really a good thing, but it's the work though. The works get harder from there.
Yeah.
Say the question again. What the part of the question?
And then you can answer it.
Okay. So I was that to realize that, but then also I still has the same it's like open a Pandora box. Are you really there to heal and change, or you just want to tamper with it, or think you're going to counseling just to talk a little bit, like it's a best friend, and then you close the door?
You mean like Ayanna Van Zandt?
I wasn't gonna say any names. No, I wasn't gonna say any names.
Hey, remember she called somebody a gutter snipe?
Yes, she called. It was Keisha Cole's sister. And counseling, I don't call anybody a gutter snipe. I don't even know what it is. That wasn't around.
It's a really bad word, yo.
Right, but I'm saying our generation didn't use gutter snipe. That wasn't.
Nah, yo, it was so bad I forgot what it meant.
Yeah, it was. Not saying you're a go, but that's the other thing you have to determine. Is this something you want to expose, and is this something you want to heal from?
Yeah.
And I said a lot of times anxiety brings in. A lot of times it's because of when something changed and not knowing waiting in the hallway, not knowing what the open door might be. But what happened if you open that door and you find out who you are, but now who you are is like this great $1 billion person with all these ideas, but it couldn't flow because you were still holding on for when you was 3.
Yeah, and I think that people don't understand just how powerful forgiveness can actually be. There's a sense of liberation about forgiveness, and that is I think that's just a part of where, especially we as a people. I'm talking about, this is just for Black folks now, especially in America. Well, all across the diaspora, there is a liberation when it comes to us forgiving first ourselves and then just forgiving people in general.
Not forgiving is trying to do life backwards. So it's trying to like literally walk backwards and carry on with your life. That's what not forgiving is. Because when you're not forgiving yourself or anyone else, you're constantly looking in the past.
Say that again.
When you're not forgiving yourself or others, it's like trying to walk life backwards. So the whole time, your mind is in the past. If it's something that is old, which most times is, you're focusing the past. How are you there for the future or the present? So it's like you missing all of that because you're walking backwards, trying to recapture, relive, redo the past. But then you're missing all this smelling the roses. You're missing all this stuff that's passing you by because you're still focused on the past. And then you have regret for missing that part.
And then you won't forgive yourself for that.
And then it's just piled on.
Oh man, that's a vicious cycle.
It could be, honestly. Man. So I would say first, identify, work on forgiving you. And work on what's the reason you don't forgive you. Did someone teach you that, or did you teach yourself that? Or both. Someone could have taught you that in the beginning, and now that person's not there. You say, you know what, I'm going to carry this on now. I'm going to do this for the person. So I said, before we work on forgiving, and don't get me wrong, I agree we have to forgive each other because we are going to make mistakes, everyone. I don't care how good you are, how perfect you are, which is not a thing. You're going to make a mistake. To people, to others, you're going to hurt somebody's feelings, no matter if you wrap it in honey. Someone else going to have a hard time swallowing it. Say you did. There's going to be offense taken somewhere. So before you forgive them or even have an example, you got to forgive yourself. Then after you forgive yourself, I said you got to forgive the people in your circle.
Yeah. You
got to forgive your children, your husband. You got to forgive. And then working on, okay, I need to work on forgiving others.
Yeah.
But forgiving yourself is a foundation.
Yeah, a couple of things, because you don't want to be swallowed. Have you ever been swallowed?
You see my get my head.
Oh God, this is good. That was so good, yo. You did a good job. But yeah,
so weak.
Forgiveness, man.
Really
Forgiveness.
You need to forgive yourself for that.
So good. Yeah, that's it for today. Second thing, I just want to remind you all: gutter snipe is a person of the lowest moral or economic station.
Why?
A homeless vagabond, especially an outcast boy or girl in the streets of a city. Thank you, Dr. Manzan. That's what we got for today. Learn to live, love, and forgive.
Forgive yourself.
Or laugh. You know what I'm saying? Like the little posters say in the white people stores. But yeah, that's all we got for today. I really hope that y'all come back. Make sure that y'all are subscribing to the thing and also on IG and Facebook at Trakesha Jones. TRAKSHA. You should know how to spell Jones. We will see you all on episode 83.